Hi, this is Samia from Henna Fixation with your dose of Henna Fix, and today I'm doing a henna artist tag with Jaya from GopiHenna.com. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. We have some questions that we're going to discuss, and we're gonna get started right now. Okay. So the question number one is, what is your favorite aspect of being a henna artist?
For me, I really like connecting with everyone. You meet like such awesome people.
Yeah.
And they kind of become like your friends too. You know, you have people coming back. Sorry, I don't know if you...
No, I feel exactly the same way actually, because when I first started doing henna, it was fun to do the design, but I like to meet the people and you talk to the people. And sometimes when I'm doing henna, I know that I'm doing something positive for them because they tell me if they're going through like a hard time or something, and they're like, I just want to do something for myself, and I'm like, yes, that's why I like to do it. Oh yeah, so we did this henna for the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because for me, I've always been kind of more of a shy person, and I felt like through henna, it's kind of given me like a way to really connect with people on a deeper level, where otherwise it'd be really hard for me too, I think. So it's kind of helped bring me out of my shell. It's kind of like an
icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also feel because we do henna as business, like just owning a business and being the person who's, you know, has a business, you feel confident also. Because suddenly you have to do networking and meet with others. That definitely helps out. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, how do you get your inspiration with henna?
It depends. So if I have, doing a personal session and I have somebody coming up, if I'm totally stuck, I just Instagram it. So I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna go through the feed, because sometimes I just need to rebuild and reconnect with henna. Yeah. Because like I mentioned before, it's not like I'm doing henna back to back every single day. So I get to be like, okay, I need to refresh my mind, and I do it that way. But in festivals and events, I find that like if I sketch a little bit before, so I get reconnected again with that. So that's, I think, how I find my inspiration.
And for me also, you know, with Instagram, you know, you scroll through and I have like a billion henna artists, and it's like, wow, like that's such an awesome like motif, and then, you know, you can kind of incorporate it in your own way, and of course, you know, give credit, especially if you do it like really similarly. But you know, I think, but over time, you kind of start to develop your own style, and also, like, even looking, like, for example, like my scarf, which you guys can't see, but over there, has like little paisleys and different things like that, and flowers, and so even from fabrics, like, I've noticed that.
But you're surrounded with also makes a difference, because if it was only white or just like one solid color, I think I love, like, if you come to my home, it's all patterns everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So I think that really does, it speaks to us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought it was interesting too, there's like, I think an article by Henna Crown, and she's awesome, saying like, you know, for example, you can't really take credit for like a paisley or something like that. I mean, the concept has been around for like, you know, millenniums, but still kind of using it in your own way. Like, you can get inspired from elements that are already found, but just take it like your own way.
Right. Awesome.
I thought that was an interesting point.
So too. All right, the third question is the most annoying client. Disclaimer, we don't mean to offend anybody, but it happens. We get annoying people. So what it would be in your case the most annoying client that would come up to you?
Someone who, they really want to get henna, but they want to go swimming right after, because I live here in San Diego, and so, you know, I work by like the beach, and so a lot of times people really want to get henna, and then I'll be doing it, and they're like, oh yeah, well, can I go like swimming in the pool like after this?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if they didn't know, but you know, sometimes they want to do both.
Yes. And they don't want to compromise.
Yeah.
It goes away so fast in swimming pools.
I know.
Like 2 days, I think max. Like I just on somebody, and she told me that she went to the swimming pool with her children, and it was in a matter of hours she noticed it was already fading.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
I was like, I'm so sorry.
And so if you're watching this for the first time,
Yes.
and you want to get henna for the first time,
No swimming pool. You're not
Yes.
swimming and you're not showering for that day. Just
Yes.
letting you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and one thing that I get a lot, actually, people come up and like, oh, do you do the black henna? And
How do you
I'm
deal
like,
with that?
Oh my gosh. Well, first I try to tell them that, you know, black henna is generally just hair dye. Like, it's really, really bad for you. You can get burns and scars. But a lot of times they don't even care, and they're like, oh, they'll just walk away, you know, because like, well, I just like the color of the black.
It can like kill you.
Yeah, I know.
Is it really worth going that, you know, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
people have, you know, come up to me also and they've told me the reactions they've gotten.
Yes.
And then they walk by your booth, which has happened. It's like, oh yeah, I've gotten that, and this, you know, they knew a person and they had this terrible reaction and they don't want henna anymore.
Exactly.
And I'm like, it's not, you know, fair.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
bad. I feel like they were done disservice to, and that, you know, they can never experience what henna is anymore. And that's sad because it's amazing.
I know.
Why?
And it's so natural. It's supposed to be natural.
Most annoying client for me is the most ungrateful client. If,
Mm.
you know, sometimes I just do henna, I will give you more henna than you want. Maybe because I noticed that they really, really want it, but they don't have the funds at that point.
That's true.
And so I still remember there was one person who came up and wanted to get henna and was not willing to pay the price for it. And I was like, well, don't worry, I'll just do that for you. And so I put my heart out on that design because I thought that she really wanted it. But in the end, you know, that it was not even appreciated. People who pay you, it's not about being paid, but it's about being valued. And when somebody's coming up to you and just using you up like that, it doesn't feel like you're an artist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You're just being kind of taken advantage of.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah, and I have another one.
Yeah,
I just
go
thought
for
of. So sometimes I'll have people come up and they try to haggle, like seriously, like haggle, like something for $20 they try to get for $5, like on two hands. Like seriously, so that's one thing that I just like, it really, really, really frustrates me. And sometimes I can kind of sense as they're coming up that they're gonna try to do it, so I just have to like really be firm and just be like, nope, this is my price, you know, like I don't care if they walk away, I'm not gonna, you know, cheapen myself.
Yeah. I can talk about more like that because people who come up with designs on their phone.
Oh yeah, they don't understand.
Yes. And I mean, even if I have like a picture, like because I have portfolio on my setup. So and then in that portfolio I have appointments that I've done, you know, private appointments that they're like longer designs. And I look at it like, you know, how much would that be? And I let them know and they're like, oh. I'm like, dude, it's like all the way here. Like, do you expect it to be $5? It's not gonna.
I kind of meant, it happens.
Yes, we can definitely, I think, do 10 more of those, but we won't.
Yeah, we'll limit it for you guys.
We're good here. Right, the next question is your turn, number 4.
Who were you before being a henna artist?
Oh man, I was always a crafty person. So I always used to do crafts at home when I was younger. Like I had a bunch of random like elementary school looking stuff on my walls, you know. I think that's, and I was the crafty one in my family. So I think craft more than arts. I would say I was more of a crafty person. As far as the art part of being a henna artist is concerned. But of course I was working with kids. I was doing other things that was completely unrelated to it. But I felt like I was called towards it because it fell on my lap and it just came so naturally at that time. And I think it goes back to the fact that I was doing crafty and arty stuff since the beginning. Yeah. What about you?
Definitely. I've always been into art, but it kind of didn't take off until after college. And so I actually did a lot of things before I went into henna. So before, I went to high school, for some reason I got most artistic, but I wasn't even really into art. It's like prophetic, like it was gonna happen eventually. But let's see, I went to UCSD, and then a couple years in, then I decided I was called to do massage therapy. So I actually went to school for massage therapy, but then I realized that wasn't necessarily me either. It was kind of like, you're doing art like with your hands in a certain way, but then I got into cake decorating, and I think that's when that kind of re-sparked that artistic desire, to create something with your hands. And So I'd already been doing like the piping,
Oh, I
and then
see.
so then after I went to India, that's when I first started, you know, practicing the henna
Right.
with the cones there, and I just kind of I fell in love with that, and I was like, hey, this is like cake decorating, but without all the mess.
People tell me, it's like, you can decorate cakes. Yeah. I'm like, I want to because it has to be similar.
Seriously, but I love actually the henna cone a lot better.
Oh, yeah?
Because sometimes, this will get into another question, but people always ask if, you know, your hands cramp.
Mm-hmm.
And for the henna cone, I've never had that happen. I've never had like a hand cramp.
Yeah.
But when you're decorating cakes and you're using like a piping bag, it's like totally different. And just because it's more like your full hand, and sometimes you have to squeeze like really hard.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it is very similar. It's very similar.
Yeah, but that's really cool that you did that before, and then you were like, I think this sounds
like
good.
this is it. This is more my style.
So that was before you went to India or after?
The cake decorating?
Yeah.
Before. Yeah, about like
Oh.
year and a half, and then I went to India.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Number 5 is, what is your henna Achilles heel? Oh, okay.
So like weakness.
Yes.
Like, what's the weakness?
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
We both have weaknesses.
Yes. Every henna artist got that one thing, you know. Well, in particular, I know doing arms is really difficult, like upper arms. Like you have to really try to get the angle right, especially if you're out like at a festival. Like I find myself like trying to sit next to them in a chair, and then I have like 2 pillows that I try to like put their arms so it's somewhat like horizontal.
Right.
So you don't have to work. But I notice is that it's the most difficult area for people to keep the most still.
Yeah.
So like they move their head like this, and it's like, you know, this part of the arm. Yes, and then any little movement on the upper arm just makes it go crazy.
So you like to work on a horizontal way?
I try, yeah.
Because vertical is a little bit. And when I do arms, I prefer doing vertical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For me, it's just like, because I'm like, it's just very difficult.
The
like
angle
that.
of it.
Yes.
See, I prefer to have them sitting higher, and I'm a little bit lower. And so the arm tends to be like here at my eye level here. So I feel like I'm working on it like a canvas if they're higher.
Okay.
That's
And
how
see,
I like to do
for
it.
me doing henna, because maybe I like to do draping, you know, when you
Yeah.
drape, and it's kind of hard to
that's
do it
great.
vertical.
Awesome. You should check out her Instagram. She's talking like, oh, it's my Achilles heel, but she does awesome work on the arm. Like that recent video you posted, which was the whole arm piece you did from like shoulder all the way down.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
But it was definitely hard.
I bet it looked like it took a lot of effort and time.
Definitely.
It was beautiful. It was awesome.
Thank you.
My Achilles heel definitely is bridal, and because you're sitting for a long enough time, and I find that sometimes, for instance, when I'm doing henna, I don't do same design twice. Like I don't do symmetry. Like if people want both hands, because I get bored of it.
Yes.
Right? So if I want to make a design here, I'm like, I already did that. It's out of my system. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah,
so
you want to be fresh.
Yeah. So when you're doing bridal, you have the same person sitting. And of course, you want the designs to be cohesive.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do, you know, like 4 different designs each limb.
Exactly.
So you have to work with the other, and you're sitting there for so long working with the same concept, and I find it boring, and that results in me just not wanting to do it.
Yeah, and also I think for bridal too, because there's like an interesting phenomenon.
Yes.
You know, you'll start to do the henna, like you'll end like right here,
Mm-hmm.
and then you turn the arm. It's like, whoa, like
it just travels.
it just like traveled over there. So you have to really kind of plan ahead how your design is going to be cohesive from this side to this side. Because I usually start like doing bridal.
That's what the palm, and then go to the back.
Yeah, but it's so weird. You're like, whoa, hello there. Like it's just all the way over there.
And how I do my design normally, they're very structured, so they're not free flowing too much. And so if I'm doing it normally, I'd be like, like marking off with like rectangles or some shapes. So it becomes even more challenging when you're switching it over, because now you have line. They don't even go straight; they go like crooked this way.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think
okay,
that's a challenge. That's a challenge that we have to work with.
Exactly.
But I think my weakness is the fact that I just don't have patience enough to do it for long. And if I work on it, I'm sure I will get better.
Of
but
course.
I'm
You're so
alright.
good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But also, I think for me, when people are moving a lot, that just always makes things more difficult.
Yeah, that's general
And-
though.
And I feel like, I don't know, kind of weak in the sense that I don't want to be like, hey, like, stop moving, you know?
Freeze.
I know, like, stop right there.
The kids do that a lot, but sometimes
Oh,
kids
yeah.
are complete, like they're so focused sometimes that they're frozen.
It's true.
And other times they
I
can't.
love those ones.
Yes, I know. I'm like, wow. And I compliment them always. Oh,
They're like,
you're so
wow.
great.
Yes, they
And,
just keep going.
what about people who have their phones out? It's like they sit down in front of you and they're like, oh yeah,
yeah.
do a design, and then they flip over their phone, just playing on the phone.
Oh,
Does that make you feel anything?
not usually. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have to like use
Talk to
some of
them.
my energy.
That's
I don't have to
true.
divert some of my energy into, you know, kind of, you know, somewhat like an entertaining thing as well.
Yes.
It can be, like at festivals and things like that. But so for me, I don't really mind as long as like, you know, it doesn't cause them to like move or something.
So you're kind of grateful when they pull their phone out because you don't
Not
have to
like
talk.
grateful, but it's like it works both ways.
Right.
It works both ways.
So for me, it's kind of like when we go to dinner and the person in front of you is pulling their phone out. I feel offended by it.
Oh, okay.
It's offended. Maybe it's too strong of a word, but I'm like, really, like, you know, like I don't have your
Yeah.
attention. Like I'm doing, because to me, as we mentioned before, it's the connection.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the connection is broken when that person's not even looking. So it's not my favorite thing to do, but I mean,
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's deal
Well,
with it.
yeah. I mean, if it's like a one-on-one appointment, that would
Yeah.
kind of be like a
But that
little
would be super
awkward.
weird.
Yeah. But sometimes if it's like a really busy festival
Yeah.
and you're kind of having to use a lot of your energy anyway just to,
Talk.
yeah, then, I mean, for me, it's like not such a big deal, but
Mhm.
usually I'll still like talk to them anyways, but.
Because I think at the same time when you're doing henna, it feels so awkward if because you're only staring mostly at the hand in festivals.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're like, well, I'm sorry, like I don't remember you. Like, I'm not going to remember.
Yeah.
And so it makes it awkward, but that's not, we're definitely going beyond
We're
that
diverting
question.
a little bit, you know.
Well, let's go back then.
Number 6. What are some common questions that you've been asked during festivals?
Oh, common questions. Well, there's like a list of 5 of them, and I'm sure we have the same ones.
Yes.
That,
I'm sure you guys all do if you're a henna artist out there.
Yes. Or if you probably, the first time you got henna, you had these kind of questions
Yeah.
in mind. Well, some things to list would be how long does it last? First question. What is it made of?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
How long does it take?
Yeah.
And generally, like, you know, at this point, we have answers that are rehearsed already. But then that doesn't mean that it's not annoying. Because if you're doing a big festival, then we have 50 people just walking by. Let's say they're not even interested.
Yeah.
They just want to know what it is and then they move on. And you feel like your energy is being wasted answering those questions. And so sometimes I find it easy to write them down if they're willing to read it.
Yeah.
But that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
What about you?
Let's see.
Did I hit the questions?
Yeah, like, what is it? It's definitely very common. Also, aftercare. Like, oh, how do you take
Oh,
care
yes.
of it? And let's see. Is there any other way? Is there a way to make it last longer or something like that?
Yes.
That's the common questions. Oh yeah, something that I get a lot lately now with social media. People always coming up like, oh, like what is white henna or what is black henna? Like, what is this or that? You know?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to explain that it's not the same thing as henna. That the henna term is just kind of being used to like this product because they're kind of using it like henna, but it's like completely different ingredients and things like that.
Right.
So that's a common question, and I get.
I like the way that you said it. The henna term is being used in a broader sense than it used to before.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really, and I think one of the things I will, it's not mostly a question, but people mention, oh, you should do tattoos.
Oh yeah, that, yeah.
Right.
They're like, do you do real tattoos too?
Yeah. Oh, real tattoos. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing something that's totally fake. You know, it's like,
I kind of don't want. This is my rehearsed. Like sometimes when you're an artist, you're just kind of on autopilot because you
Yeah.
can ask the questions so many times, you know. And I'm always like, well, you know, I kind of don't want the pressure of something lasting forever. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to go that route ever.
yes. And I mentioned that it is a commitment, and I'm not okay with commitments in general. Like, I change things around all the time.
That's your...
Yes, yeah, it's coming up. It's coming. But also,
coming back.
tattoos are painful, and I don't
True.
like pain.
Yeah, and I don't want to cause pain to
Yes.
person, so.
I'm like, I also mentioned that I like to see people smiling when they leave.
Yeah.
Not like crying. But and at that time, the conversation does open up. Well, tattoo is a completely different art form than henna is. Tattoo is beautiful in its own way. And so sometimes when people come up and they mention, oh, henna tattoos. And I'm like, just cringes a little bit because in their mind they're having the image of a tattoo, which
like
is
the heart with the banner, like mom or something.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some beautiful tattoo art out there, but it doesn't speak to the henna audience.
Yeah.